Welcome to Thrive in Design, a podcast about making money and beautiful interiors as it relates to product-based businesses in the interior design industry. Each week, we'll discuss innovative strategies on how to approach product development and design sales in a shifting market. I'm your host, Nicole Lachey Ben. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Thrive in Design podcast. I'm your host, Nicole. And today I'm excited to introduce a remarkable guest, Yvette Craddock, the visionary founder of Yvette Craddock Designs. Yvette is a celebrated designer known for creating distinctive interior and brand experience for luxury residential properties, boutique hospitality spaces, multifamily developments, and luxury vacation properties. At YCD, she curates environments that ignite and seduce all the senses, translating her clients' desires into spaces that tell a curated, infused story with soul and style. With an expertise for intentional and harmonious design, Yvette crafts custom solutions that weave together cultural references, creativity, and innovation. Her unique approach brings rhythm, beauty, and structure to undefined spaces, making each project a masterpiece of authenticity and imagination. In today's episode, we will be talking about Yvette's incredible journey into the world of design, her approach to creating sensory-driven spaces that tell meaningful stories, the latest trends in luxury and boutique hospitality design, and her insights on overcoming challenges, fostering collaboration, and leaving a lasting impact in the design industry. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nicole. Welcome.
I'm so excited to have you here. Absolutely. So let's get into your story. Tell us about your journey in founding Yvette Craddock Designs and what inspired you to take the leap into creating your own design firm.
Well, I am an entrepreneur and have been for a long time. I had a full service marketing firm before this. And when I was working on a project for a client's quick serve restaurant, I was building out all this branding packages. We really delved into his business plan, and that led him to ask me to design the interior of this cafe. I just really understood his vision and the depth of where he wanted to take the business. It wasn't just come to the countertop and order a smoothie or, a salad. It was more than that. So I sat there and I looked at him and I said, let's do it. I am all for it. So it made me return to when I was working for the Giorgio collection in Los Angeles and how much I love the industry. And over time, I built Yvette Craddock Designs.
Yeah. And how long has that been since that first leap of faith into that project?
Oh, it's been years.
I love it.
Taken some time, but I'm here. So
yeah. And did you ever imagine yourself going into interior design, when you first started your career journey?
Not really. I've always been 50-50.
Okay.
50% analytical, 50% creative. So for me, my journey was, how do I marry the two attributes of myself and find something that's fulfilling and also demanding of me so that I take care of my whole person? And so it was through the time that I met Giorgio, the Giorgio collection, and he became my mentor. That's when I realized that I could have the best of all worlds. And he showed me how to do that. Okay. So it was one of those really magical moments in life that you just could never script.
Yeah. And I love that because design does take a little bit of analyzing and a little bit of creativity. You have to marry the two together to really understand, who are you designing for? What are their pain points? How can I solve those pain points with my design solutions, whether that be the branding that you're creating, the story that you're telling about that brand, or just how the space is designed in all the little details. So I love that. And so you have become known for really crafting immersive and sensory design experience. And so tell us about, how has that become the hallmark of your approach? And how is that important to you?
Fundamentally, it's who I am. I think that too often in life, we're living on the surface. And let's face it, we have a lot of demand just getting to the grocery store, running this errand, going to the dry cleaners, going to work, our pets, our children. And for me, it's what can I create in my world and in my client's world that surprises and delights me, that makes me and keeps me curious, that ignites my senses and gives me motivation for something more than just what you see every day. So it's just who I am. And I think that's also built from when I was 3 years old. This is my earliest memory. My dad would buy me puzzles for kids that were 10 to 15 years old, and I would solve them. So I'm good at connecting the dots, solving problems. And then I studied art, music, and dance during my formative years. All of those life experiences culminate to what I bring to the table and that added dimension and depth I strive to bring to my clients.
That's awesome. And so tell us a little bit more about the types of projects that you do. You've done a little bit of residential, hospitality. What's been your favorite type of project to work on, and what are you looking forward to doing in 2025?
More developments
Yeah.
is what I'm looking forward to, and creating some really unusual spaces and people into the room. It's unforgettable. That's on my list for next year. As far as the projects I have designed, I love all the projects I've worked on. Some have been more challenging than others, such as we have a very small space. We need to expand the kitchen. How do we bring this to life? Or we need to add a shower, or we need to convert in one project that converted a primary suite workout space to a separate casita with just decked out film, bathroom, door. Of course, I work with general contractors on this and architects, but those are some of the really interesting projects where what do I do to transform the space? How do I bring new life to the space? How do you make it beautiful and functional? And overall, how do you create really harmonious and cohesive spaces so that everything just flows and you are just wrapped in love and delight when you're in your space. So
Right.
that's really the end game.
Yeah. And I'd love to dive a little bit more deeper into your process too, because you just mentioned really the problems that you might be starting with, changing one space from what it was intended to be into a casita, or having this kitchen that you're trying to see if you can expand it. And then your end goal is to make a space that really flows and connects with the clients. So tell us more about your projects. How do you identify those problems? What is your process in getting to the final result? Tell us all the details.
All the goodies. Well, it starts with listening. So when I'm designing for a client, whether it's their primary home or their second home, it's to listen to what their needs and desires are. And just as importantly, listen to what they're not telling me verbally, but what their body language is telling me. When I'm in a space, I walk the space. You can fill the space out, right? I walk the space and fill it out. I have a list of questions. I keep those questions until my clients walk the space with me so I can listen to, oh, this is what I thought for this room and this room. Then we go through a list of questions and I dig a little deeper. And then I present some ideas for their consideration. And when you watch how they behave in space as well, whether it's a residential project or something that's more of a commercial or, boutique hospitality, I watch how my clients are walking the space and their natural flow, where they go to, oh, if the stove were over here or the refrigerator, you take notes on that. And then in more public spaces, if you will, watch how people behave in a space that's similar. So if it's something that's a new build, go to a place, and this is what I do, that's similar to that, and just observe people. It's called ethnography. Observe people in that space. What's the natural flow? What are they doing? Let's say it's a coffee shop. They're going to the counter. Are they going to where the roasters are? Or are they starting somewhere else? Where they're looking, people look around. They're visual cues all the time. Oh, where do I go pick up? Oh, my coffee's over there. Or, okay, where's my cream and sugar? You have to pay attention to all those details. So first of all, it's listening and observing, processing what's being verbally communicated, process what is not being communicated verbally, nonverbal. Then from there, you guide your clients through the process. So I always believe in giving clients what they want. We want white counters. We want white floors. Okay, now I'm going to layer that with another option. And then I'm going to give them an option they never considered and we never discussed. But based upon our conversation, it's something that I believe could be a solution for them. So then we discuss all the options, the pros and cons to each. I let them live with these options because what we're doing here is really important and they're investing a lot of money. For instance, you're not going to buy a 3,000, 6,000, 7,000 square foot house and redo your floors next year. It's just not going to happen. So allow clients to have the space and time to really live and feel and think through their options, which is another question. People ask, well, what do you want to do here? I always start with, how do you want to feel in this space? When you walk in the door, how do you want to feel? And people step back and, oh, I never really thought about that because we need to address their emotional needs as well as their functional needs.
Yeah.
After a long day of work or a lot of my clients travel, what do you want to happen when you walk in that door? How do you want your space to transform you as well? So all of these details are a part of that inquiry to start with where we are in order to arrive at our end goal.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned feel. It even brings me back to why I even wanted to get into the world of interior design. When I was like in middle school, as a middle schooler, all I did was watch HGTV. When I got home, like I just wanted to watch HGTV. And of course, the world of design is way beyond, these home renovations that are on HGTV. But I love seeing how people felt when they saw their home reveal. Like they just look so happy to see this like space come to life in the way that they never would have imagined. And they look so happy to just like, be in there with their families and create new memories. Like this was the start of something new. So that feeling is something that's so important that I feel like people people underestimate how important that is, especially when it comes to home design or especially when it comes to hospitality design, because a lot of times that is a home away from home. So the client's feelings is so important to put at the center or how they move through the space. So I love that you consider all of those things as you are curating these beautiful environments.
Thank you. It's so important. I always tell people, I want you to love your space, not like it and be okay and settle. I want you to love it.
Yeah.
And the end result is people telling me, I love it. You're right. I love it. Or crying or we'll cry together. And the crying is the biggest compliment anyone can give me because then I've really spoken to their heart. I captured their heart and was able to translate that into the space.
Absolutely. Thrive in Design is more than just a podcast. We are a design and innovation consultancy that focuses on helping interior product companies increase their brand awareness and revenue. We do this by truly understanding a designer's experience with your brand. We need to know what they experience from the time they learn about your brand, through the specification process, through that product being shipped out to the job site. Understanding pain points in that experience is crucial in increasing your brand awareness and revenue. So whether you need to revamp your branding, marketing, or sales strategy, or the complete customer journey, we are here to help your company thrive. Head to thriveindesign.co/contact and let's get the conversation going about how we can help your interior product company. And so with design also comes a bit of storytelling. I'm sure you would agree. So how do you also ensure that a space, whether that be a home or hospitality or some other types of space that you're working on, tells a unique and authentic story of the client that you are servicing?
Ooh, there are some really great examples of this. First of all, it has to be authentic and it has to be their story and not a forced story. And some clients have told me, well, I've spoken to their designers and they want me to do this with the space. That was their idea, which It's not my approach. Everything I do is custom to client. I do not do anything that's cookie cutter. So a couple of stories. My client had finished her house. She was searching for art, found art after about a year, called me, asked me for help as to where to install the art. During that visit, she says, I would like to give a consultation to my friend, have you go to her house because I bought her a piece of art when I found this for my house. Will you go help her? Absolutely. So set up the meeting, went to visit the friend, saw this beautiful art. We walked the house. She and her husband had some ideas on where they wanted to install and hang the art. But the challenge was the art was way too small for the space. It was a really large room. So you have like a dot canvas. It just looked out of place in that space. So here comes the storytelling. After discussing the background, why that piece of art was so important to them, why it was such an emotionally connected piece for their family. They're both retired military. They come from military families. This piece of art spoke to a historic moment in American history. And from there, I suggested we build a wall for the wall in order to really showcase the art. And in that process, we were able to showcase the family's history, multi-generational history of military service. It was phenomenal. That room told the story of American history, the family's history. We covered some cosmetic issues in that solution. I worked with one of my design associates who helped me with this. The clients had everyone involved, including the friend that connected us, over for dinner. There was not a dry eye in the house. We were all at the dinner table celebrating this project, the meaning of this project to the family, and we were all in tears. It was just so emotional. And at that moment, it reminded me how transformative and how important design is. It does impact our lives every day, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And it's so important that if you're going to live in a space, do not settle.
Yeah.
Find a way to really make it yours. So every time the family's in that room, it just brings them the greatest joy. And that's really fantastic design.
I love that.
Another quick story. I designed a house in Los Angeles. My client found me after she had done some renovations. And thankfully, she did not alter the integrity of this home. She kept the original wood paneling that would be, I don't know how much to replace these days. She kept these authentic pieces and elements of the house and would not allow anyone to tell her. Everyone was telling her to paint it right? The fireplace, the walls, everything had to be white. So I said, okay, well, we're not going to invest additional funds in what has already transpired, but I have an idea. I have an idea for wallpaper in the dining room to add some dimension to the room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, great. I submitted this beautiful, bold floral wallpaper. And this is such a neat story. When we were done and celebrating the finish of her home, she told me a little bit more about why she agreed with my selection for this wallpaper. She says, there's a dragonfly in the art, and that connected her to her grandmother.
Wow.
And her grandmother is the one who encouraged her to begin investing in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So it just brought everything together for her. It was just a memory about the grandmother and listening to the conversations and replaying those conversations she had with her as a child. And then that particular garden hearkened to her cultural background. It was so much deeper than a beautiful wallpapered room.
Yeah.
That is the power of design and storytelling and integrating cultures and being innovative with design solutions that I strive for in every project
Yeah.
that I accept.
Yeah, I love that. And so with design, I love all of the different touch points that it involves and understanding the clients, their cultural background, their history, bringing things all together to come towards this end goal, which we're talking about. Now, the other layer of that is like sourcing all of these things, right? You have to source the art, source the furniture, source the wallpaper, while at the same time being aware of like what trends are out there. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about how do you go about understanding what trends and either taking it in and applying it or not, and how that affects your specification process as you are designing for your client.
Great questions. I'm getting ready to post some at social media ideas for trends for next year. So I have to, of course, be aware of the trends. Might as well ask, oh, what do you think about? I saw this on whatever TV show or on Instagram or whatnot. You have to be aware of the trends. Do I always follow the trends? Not really. For instance, this year I'm really excited because one of the colors of the year is this like really like brown plum. It's just so rich. And then there are lilacs. And I've been designing with these colors for years.
Right.
We're working on one project about 2.5 years ago. And I just thought, this house needs lilac, isn't it? Like the whole lilac, raspberry, blue color palette. And it was so hard to find what I was looking for. I was able to pull it together without compromising the design plan. But you have to go with what the house is telling you, or whatever that space, the property, whatever it is, the client, whether it's residential or commercial, what is part of their brand style guide, and create something innovative that is authentic for that application. So be aware. Do I always follow? No. My approach to design is a little black dress. If you have a phenomenal little black dress, you just change the heels, the jewelry, your hair, the makeup. That's how I approach design for clients, so that we start with something timeless, and we allocate the majority of their investments in timeless solutions. And then from there, and give them ideas like, oh, okay, well, if you want to change the throw pillows next year or 2 years from it, you're not out a ton of money, but your foundational elements are set. So I love to layer in my own approach, just texture and patterns and color combinations. And really it goes back to listening to what people want and giving them that versus just a cookie cutter approach to, oh, this is in trend and on style now. And, every other person has it in their house. Well, that's great, but should it be in yours? Let's
Yeah.
really dive deeper into who you are and how we can translate who you are into that space. Now, when it comes to sourcing, I source everywhere. I'm not beholden to any brand. So my clients literally have the world at their fingertips. I go to as many trade shows as I can, markets. I have a whole network of gallerists and artists and curators and collectors like me. I collect certain types of furniture and accessories. And so that my well is deep, and I'm looking for the right solution for a project over just going to one resource.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also imagine that as you're designing and considering the client's needs and how the design will be curated based on their needs or their culture or whatever, that is also a better opportunity for the manufacturer who is like a custom, right? Because I'm always thinking and strategizing, especially with my clients, a lot of times they're like smaller manufacturers and they're like, how can I even be more attractive to the designer in their process? So I imagine that, yes, it's really nice for that manufacturer to be on trend and have a color of the year and develop products that are based on any research that they've done about color forecasting or whatever, but it also might be to their advantage to be flexible, to customize for the designer and their client so that they can meet the needs on that specific project. I imagine that as well.
I see that a lot more where more manufacturers are offering, here's your sectional and here are the 3 colors that are quick ship, for instance, or whatever that quantity is. But here we have a whole range of solutions for you, colors, different fabric types, a lot of performance fabric options are what I use for especially hospitality
Yeah.
with clients who have maybe smaller children. There's a lot more flexibility out there. You have to really invest the time to find these people because there's some really great, talented artisans out there. I've commissioned artists for like artwork. I have commissioned artists for like dining tables, other tables. We're working on a project right now where I have a custom door to my client's primary suite bathroom. And here's something that I really impart with clients. Custom, a lot of times people stop, their eyes get big and, they think, oh, I have to bring out all the money and then sell. Really so much anymore. There are so many custom solutions that are within budgets. I encourage people to allow me to explore those for them because at the end of the day, we're keeping our options open to finding the right solution that meets all their needs, including your budget.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to take a quick pause too, because a lot of my listeners are from product manufacturers and want to hear the perspective of the designer, what you guys need as you're sourcing. So tell me, what are some things that really stand out to you as you are sourcing, like from brands? Is it their marketing? Is it their products? Like, as you are sourcing and specifying brands, especially that you are not familiar with before, what is it that stands out to you for their company? It could even be their service or how their sales reps approach you. Tell us a little bit more insight about that.
The collection.
Yeah.
I have a couple of projects right now where my challenge is the depth of the collection. So for instance, I have a client who they want to have certain packages and I'll get excited about, oh, I love what I'm seeing for the living room and dining room. And I get to the bedroom and there's like 2 options. Beds, and then 1 option for nightstands, no dressers. Those are the things that are an issue in our industry. And I really encourage manufacturers to investigate. It'd be better if you had fewer really unique options that offered the whole suite. Not that you always want to have matchy match, but sometimes, like especially in the bedrooms, it does need to coordinate. The wood colors are off and it just doesn't look right. It looks so mismatched instead of curated and designed. That's the number one issue I see is the lack of development within a particular collection.
Okay.
So for instance, I worked for Giorgio. He was one of the first in the industry to provide full lifestyle galleries where under a collection, we had the living room, the dining, and the bedroom that all synergized. So we were able to address that particular client profiling and personas, as you know, from a marketing standpoint.
Absolutely.
And I don't see that very often. In fact, people laughed at him when he introduced that. They're like, oh, you're great. Guess who's copying who now? Okay. That's the number one issue that I've encountered. So I'll start off excited and wanting to specify a certain manufacturer's collection, and then I hit a wall and I've got to start all over. So it's better almost to have tighter, cleaner, really comprehensive collections where the wood options are consistent. If you're doing a bed in walnut, give me walnut nightstands and dresser options, right?
Right, exactly. And then they're more likely to be sourcing that from the same species of wood or the same like lot, and then you can have that cohesiveness in different pieces throughout your design. So I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So are there any more projects that you want to highlight or talk about that have been like your favorite to work on, whether that be residential, hospitality, multifamily developments?
I love all the projects I've worked on. As great clients, this comes to mind about a month ago, a client who this happens to be a vacation home for them. Out of the blue, she texts me a video and they're back at their vacation home. She's giving me a visual tour, talking about the project and how we collaborated together and how much the chairs are still here. And, Tina's still dancing and it's in Palm Springs, right? So it's MCM. And she just gave me this great visual tour. I just want to thank you again for creating this home of our dreams. We love it. We love coming here to this day. Everything is perfection and speaks to us. I literally cried and I called her. I'm like, here you go again. Because we cried when we were done with that project too. We do a lot of crying here. But that was really, really special when my clients all come back to me and share stories of the spaces I've created for and or with them. I have clients I've never met. They live in another part of the world and they have entrusted me to create spaces for them, which is, I just can't tell you what a privilege that is.
Yeah.
It's very humbling.
Yeah, I love that. And so as you continue to design and as you have created this wonderful opportunity for yourself to curate spaces, both home, hospitality, multifamily, for those that are listening, they're like, man, I want to take a leap of faith and and get into the design industry. What specific piece of advice would you give to designers who are looking to make their mark in design?
Find a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Find a mentor that can really help develop you. Be a smart business person. Business is just as important as design. You have to be buttoned up. As we talked about when we first started our conversation, there are a myriad of details. You have to be on time and on budget. You understand that you're being of service to a client and that your goal is to help their dreams come true and not your personal goal.
Right.
And sometimes it can be difficult, but the more you understand the business of design and have a mentor and are fearless, I shop everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to anyone. I'm always learning something. You have to. There's so many great developments in our industry. You have to be on top of that. So it's a great way to constantly challenge yourself as well and not get pigeonholed into, well, I had this couch in that house and let's just put it in that house too.
That's awesome. And then for those who are listening, then they're like, hey, I need to infuse some more style. Or maybe they hadn't considered how important having an expert, having a designer is on their project. Where would you suggest they actually start?
Within,
Yeah.
in order to create an environment that speaks to you and or your family, or, well, let's just make this more personal, like residential, you have to understand yourself. You have to delve in and have those conversations with yourself. Well, I know that, my neighbors have XYZ, but do I really want that? And be willing to explore what you don't see. Here's the thing. We are drowning in a sea of sameness in this industry, from residential development to hospitality. And it's, from a branding perspective, it's very damaging.
Right.
And then from a human perspective, it's boring. We're just like zombie land. It's like that place looks like that place. And we're all different and unique. And that's the beauty of life. And there's so many opportunities within your community and pulling resources from around the world that can elevate your design, make it special and personal and truly curated and unique. Here's another detail for people. Think about how much money you're willing to lose by trying things yourself. The investment in a designer will protect you and protect your investments and help you take your space to a level that you didn't even know exists. Because, for instance, I just showed some prospects some tile options and furniture options they had no idea existed. And they immediately understood how I could elevate their product.
Exactly. I love that. And one thing you just said that I want to go back to, we're basically in a sea of sameness, whether that be interiors or products. And it even reminds me of like going to NeoCon. I've gone to NeoCon for the last couple of years, which is specifically geared towards like workplace design, healthcare. Of course, there's a little bit of residential in there as well. But typically walking around, it literally feels like a sea of sameness. You're going from showroom to showroom and you see the same chair, maybe in a different color and maybe a little tweak in the design, a few feet down in a different showroom. So I want everybody to continue to push the envelope, whether they are somebody who's looking to explore design and hire a designer for their hotel or their residence. They are a product designer looking to push the envelope in their product development, or they're an interior designer looking to curate spaces for their client, that they break out of this sea of sameness that you said, really tap into the story that needs to be told, create a unique moment, create a unique design, and not be boring. Like, let's just put boring to rest in 2025.
It's all the curved silhouettes you see, which are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Even know where that started. Look up Vladimir Kagan.
Yeah.
Look him up. That's for all this. He's one of the godfathers of that look that everyone's doing, which is fine, but understand your history. And when you go back and look and educate yourself, and I call friends and associates, hey, can you help me with identifying this piece or whatnot? I do a lot of vintage, source of as much as I can, because it has so much personality. It's so unique.
Yeah.
When you really look at the history, there were so many innovators out there. And I know if times have changed, we're looking at social media and the algorithms and how they really are driving the sea of sameness. And then everybody posts, oh, no, I have, tens and hundreds of thousands of followers, which is great. But then we're all kind of seeing the same thing.
Exactly.
Right? And that's no disrespect to anyone at all. There are people who do, look beautifully and have various iterations of it. And then you have the economy as a scale of manufacturing. But there are other options out there, is my point. Yep, I dig a little bit more.
Yeah.
And go on a treasure hunt. But for me, it's a treasure hunt. I'm trying to find gems and a sea of sameness. But thankfully, I just keep, wherever I travel, I keep a record of stores I go to, and then I pull from a very deep well. It may take me more time, but I'm willing to invest the time to achieve a really unique desired result for my clients. And I know that I've really worked hard to give them something that's truly personal and special.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, Yvette, we've covered so much today, learned about your leap of faith into the interior design industry, from branding for one of your clients into design. You've created spaces that are for residential, boutique hospitality, multifamily, and given us some insight into how you understand your clients by listening to them, even watching them in their space, processing all that information, and then guiding them to create a beautiful story through a beautifully curated space. You also gave some insight into where people should start if they're looking to explore design or make their mark in this industry. So as you move forward this year, what's next for Yvette Craddock Designs? And are there any new exciting things on the horizon for you?
Sure. I am looking at capsule products, limited edition products.
Okay.
So it's really interesting. And I know you can attest to this. In the sea of sameness, we also have this incredibly expansive environment of really unique textiles and just gorgeous. I went to a fabric store the other day and it was just beautiful, all the options. I thought we need more to see more of that. And then I have a book coming out next year. And then, of course, surprises. Just revealed when the time is right.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I can't wait to see what you have up your sleeve with your capsule projects, with your book, and support all the other surprises that are coming down the pipeline as well. If people want to get in contact with you, where can they find you online?
YvetteCraddock.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a total honor. I appreciate you and all your hard work. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us this week on Thrive in Design. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Thrive in Design. And for more strategies on how your product company can innovate in the interior design industry, head to training.thriveindesign.co. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to create captivating content. See you next week.